Yeah. Although you students who are here, if you have any questions or things you would like to bring up, you're welcome to do that as we wait for other people. Either by speaking or putting it questions in the chat.
Saskia,
Yeah,
so I think we can wait for some time
yeah,
for more students to join.
okay,
Then,
yeah. Right. You students who are here, if you have any questions, like questions about the lectures, or could be questions about the assignment questions. Like, I know that in the chat, there was a few questions from the assignment. You guys can ask any of these.
Umesh typed that his internet is fluctuating, so he might be on and off for some time. Saskia, do you want to discuss anything about the questions in the discussion forum or assignments? I'll do that now.
Well, I can talk a little bit about, I can mention, I don't know if you students who are here had trouble with, there's one of the questions where we actually had the wrong, we did the wrong answer key wrong. So I could talk about that one. So in the questions number 10, the question is, which of the following is not true about zoonotic diseases? And the choices were, so this is, we asked what is not true. The choices were, they're transmitted between humans and animals. That's true. That's like the definition. The primary origin among zoo animals. Their primary origin is among zoo animals. That's not true. That was just silly using the word zoo. Frequency of such diseases is decreasing due to habitat fragmentation. That's also not true. You could sort of think of ways it would be, it's kind of not really related to habitat fragmentation, or maybe actually increased by it. And then the fourth one was frequency of such diseases is increasing due to globalization. And that's true. So the two answers that are not true are B and C, and the two answers that are true are A and D. So that question, there's a little confusion about that question because we had the wrong answer. And then there was also a couple questions in the chat that were about question 9. And that question is, which one or more of these situations is associated with high spread of infectious disease? And so this is both of these are from the lecture that's on parasitism and disease. And so this is asking for situations which are associated with high spread. So reproductive rate of the pathogen being high is associated with high spread. It means there's a lot of the pathogen around to spread. Mortality rate of the host is extremely high. So that's not associated with high spread, because if the mortality rate of the host is extremely high, that would mean that the host dies quickly. And so that means that that host, or even that it dies at all, that host won't be around for very long to spread the disease. So if the disease is extremely virulent, causing death of the host, then it will be not very good at spreading itself. Because once the host is dead, it can't spread anymore. And then the pathogen spreads through the air. That's usually a way that infectious diseases are spread quite easily. And then high density of the host population is also a condition under which disease spreads quickly, because the host individuals are close together. So the answer to 9 is A, C, D. So those are the two questions that we had that I have seen so far in the chat that people brought up. Did any of you guys have problems with those questions or other questions you're curious about?
Okay, there is a comment in the chat box.
Yeah.
from Jagandeep, uh, saying that he enjoys the course.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good to hear. Yep, definitely, definitely, nice. Nice to have that kind of confirmation of what we're doing. Thank you.
Umesh, do you want to discuss anything from the course or uh, from the assignment or discussion?
Hi, Pravita. Uh, Not really. We had the zoonotic diseases had come up, and we had discussed that. So I think that was about it. And Saskia has discussed it in this session as well. So I don't have anything to add as of now.
Okay. General, like any general topic from the all three this session?
Umesh, what's your favorite type of species interaction?
uh, well, probably facilitation is what it's been sort of a neglected interpretation being, these sort of explanations for community structuring and facilitations. Just until relatively recently, the history of community ecology, facilitations not got the kind of attention competition and predation have. Competition, but there's so many things that have depended on facilitation. The radiation of flowering plants. Things like coral reefs are built on things like facilitation, and so it's quite surprising actually that facilitation is not got the kind of attention. She's bird flocks, and there's a lot of facilitation happening there. And you've got supplementary and complementary benefits being exchanged between species in these mixed species bird flocks, and so I find that fascinating. What's your favorite interaction, Saskia?
Yeah, let's see. Well, I agree with you. Facilitation, mutualism are like, in a sense, my favorite because I think they've sort of been understudied and they're extremely valuable, but people have not, ecology hasn't really focused on them until maybe the last decade very much at all. But my favorite interaction is parasitism.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Because
No,
it's
that's
thing.
yeah, that's a fascinating interaction. But you were saying, because sorry, I interrupted you. There's a lag at my end.
Oh yeah. Oh, parasitism is my favorite because of the intimacy of the association, that the parasites have to be so specialized to their host, and the host has such specialized responses to the parasite. So both ecologically and evolutionarily, they're super, I don't know, intriguing. So
Yeah, yeah, unlike so parasitism, and just for the learners who are on the meeting today, parasitism and predation are sort of in terms of the exchanges being in terms of the costs and benefits, they're sort of similar in that one, the host of the prey loses and the predator or the parasite gains, but parasitism is so much more nuanced than predation, because predation is just like man, you're dead, yeah, and you're going to be eaten. But parasitism, in terms of just the kinds of well, predation also involves things like evolutionary arms races, but um, the parasite can't outright necessarily kill the host very, very fast, because then it's not going to spread. So there's all sorts of very, very interesting, nuanced things happening with parasitism. That's fascinating, like Saskia said.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Any of you guys want to chime in on this?
Yeah, one of the so one of the sort of counterintuitive things with species interactions is something called the stress gradient hypothesis, which is sort of like, as the abiotic environment becomes more and more stressful, interactions tend to move towards facilitation. Um, from competition. They might not become outright facilitation, but there is evidence that the strength of competition actually comes down, and that, which is a bit counterintuitive, because you can imagine, when resources are limiting is when competition should be, the at its highest. But yeah, and that's what happens with mixed species flocks as well. When the resources are low in winter, that's when these flocks form. When the resources are at their peak in the summer and the monsoon, that's when these flocks completely, break down, and the species are on the bird species are on their own. Um, and it's in winter, when the resources are lower, is when they're actually coming together in these very, very tight, cohesive, multi-species flocks.
Yeah, that is interesting, because you'd think, oh, because of competition, it would be the opposite. That they would not be together if there was resources low, they would be competing really strongly. But somehow that's not the way that it turns out.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating, and you know, of course, this is a course in ecology, so we're talking over ecological timescales. But facilitation would have been such an important driver of just evolution of these species, their traits and their behaviors deserve a little more attention.
Yeah. Okay, another thing I like, this isn't really a specific interaction, but I like thinking of a continuum between, say, parasitism to commensalism to facilitation. And that depending on the conditions that the interaction is happening in, it might be positive or negative, such as, say, in mycorrhizae interactions, root interactions with mycorrhizae, where in some cases the same host and fungal species, the fungus is a parasite, but then in another situation, say when there's low nitrogen or phosphorus in the soil, then it's a mutualist. And so the same two species interacting with each other could be having these sort of opposite types of interactions, depending on the resource conditions.
Yeah, we tend to think of, I mean, given two species, we tend to think of the interactions between those two as being sort of set, but that's not necessarily the case, in that changing conditions can cause the nature of that interaction to be modified.
Right, right. Yeah.
Uh, Saskia, there is
Yeah.
a chat. Can you read Gagandeep's chat? I
Sorry,
do find Gagandeep have a chat, comment on the interaction. Can you see the chat box?
I see the chat box, yes.
Okay.
I
So,
see that your favorite is also parasitism. That doesn't surprise me.
yeah, because I'm working on parasitic also mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. So Gagandeep have a comment like he find it interesting the fact how the interaction is not static but or fixed, but
Yeah,
dynamics changing depending on various factors between two species.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's why in the lecture, I think I gave two examples of that. One of them was the mycorrhizal fungal interaction with roots that depends on the soil nutrients, whether it's parasitic or mutualistic. And then there was another one with between plant species and pollinators, that if the pollinator, that depending on the pollinator behavior, having other plants nearby could facilitate the pollination by bringing pollinators in, or if the pollinators are sort of already there, then it could be a competitor and keep, if there's more different kinds of flowers around, then the flowers are competing for pollinators. And so that's another situation, and sort of depending on pollinator behavior in this case, having different species of flowers around can either be good and be a facilitative, or causing competition for pollinators. Good. I'm glad you thought it was interesting. It is. It is.
I think there are not many questions coming,
Okay.
so we can wait for 5 minutes, and if nobody is asking anything, we can wind up the session.
Okay. You like parasitism better too. Everybody likes parasitism.
Garima, you can unmute and discuss why you like parasitism. We can wind up the session at 4:30.
Yeah,
That is only 1 minute. Thank you, Saskia and Ramesh.
yeah,
And PTL team, can you wind up at 4:30?
yes, that's fine. There's no question, so it's fine to wind up. Is that all right, Umesh? If you're there, maybe your connection is gone.
Yes, that works for me. Thank you.
Okay,
You can read Garima commented why she
oh, yeah.
liked.
Okay, yeah, you say it maintains ecological balance by regulating host populations. That's true, although other things can also control host populations, but that's true that parasitism can have a big effect on population size. It's true.
Can we wind up the session?
Okay,
Thank you all for
all
attending.
right, goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.